So I am recording this meeting, so just know that if you don't want your face to be in the meeting, I don't think it'll come on because I think right now currently it's just my face and the PowerPoint. So that's the only thing that should be on there. It's like transcribing what I'm saying on Teams. Crazy. This is all new stuff. Technology is constantly changing on me, so this is fun. um, so couple norms really quickly. This meeting will be recorded, so if you don't want to be on the recording, please turn off your video. And please make sure that you're muted unless I call on you to ask a question. And of course, there are no silly questions, so please make sure to ask questions. There will be a question and answer at the end that I will allow us to kind of ask questions just so that I could get through everything here. So a little bit about myself. This is my 11th year in education, which is kind of crazy. This is the first year where I have students that weren't born yet when I started teaching, which is a fun milestone to have. I have taught 1st through 6th grade math, so I'm very knowledgeable in the math content. I've been a math coach at a private school called Giddens here in Seattle. I've taught new teachers how to teach math with the University of Washington in Chicago. And I also just recently helped organize and develop the math curriculum for Summer Staircase, which is a summer program here in Seattle Public Schools. So I really love math. And I'm sure your kids have seen that. Yeah, I'm very knowledgeable. But there's still so much for me to learn. So I feel like every year brings new adventures and new challenges with every group of kiddos that I have. I think that's what I love about teaching so much. So accelerated math, I really want to get to kind of explaining all this and then have the bulk of the time be question and answer. My hope is to be done before 6:30 or around 6:30. So I don't want to take too much time. I know that this is kind of dinner time for a lot of you. So the first thing I want to say, I know that some of your students have the HC designation, which is highly capable, or the advanced learning designations, but that is in connection to you taking a test and the district said that your child has that certain designation. Accelerated math is not just for those students, and it doesn't have to be for those students either. I think in the past, Seattle Public Schools and other grade levels and other schools, even within BFDA possibly, if a student was highly capable, I think the expectation for some students were that they would be 2 years ahead. And then if they were 3rd graders, they'd be taking 5th grade math. Or if they were advanced learners, they would be taking 1 year ahead. That's not what I necessarily believe in. And so my philosophy is that regardless of that designation, if you have it or not, if you are willing to put in the work, and if you're willing to want to do this, then I am more than willing to help you and your family make sure that you are getting into more accelerated or more advanced math. So a little about how the program works. So our schedule for the first 2 weeks, so this includes last week and this week. So we took a baseline assessment. So each homeroom took a baseline assessment, which is just kind of like, hey, how was last year? Are they ready for this year? And really, this isn't really going to be an important test for me to know what are kids coming with this school year, right? We've just come in from a 1.5 years of online learning, some probably more than a 1.5 years. And so I'm using this assessment to help guide my instruction for the first unit or so, to kind of think, hey, are there concepts that I really need to hit on, like 3rd grade concepts, or are there 4th grade concepts that I really need to hit on with the 5th graders, and so on and so forth. So it's a really big assessment for me. I'm trying to play it down for the students, but it is important for me to kind of get information on how they're feeling about math. And then the other really important focus for these first 2 weeks, and maybe a little bit of next week, will also be creating a positive and welcoming math community, especially given, again, that we've been not in person for such a long time. We've built a lot of community within our homeroom, but I have 3 other classrooms that I need to build community with. So I'm really going to spend a lot of time creating a safe and welcoming environment in my math class. So these next 3 days, you're probably going to ask your kid about how was math? We're really not going to do much math this week. We're going to be playing some math games. We even played a math game today. I'm going to do some math read alouds, but it's really going to be focused. How do we want to feel in math class? So that's the foundation for everything else. If I don't have the trust in students, then nothing else can happen. The week of September 13th, and this might change, I think, from what I saw today, and then I'm going to have kids on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I might extend a little bit more community building for next week, but I'm hoping that at some point next week, I will begin the formal instruction, and I'll explain how that'll look like in the classroom. One thing to note here, the first unit in 4th and 5th grade is relatively simple, and that is by design because we want to be able to build math community, build confidence. And so if your child's like, well, this seems really easy, I just want to do the harder stuff. It's meant to be relatively simple. And so just be wary about that. Oh, here we go. This is so small. I need to make it a little bit bigger. Apologies. There you go. Okay. So if you are interested in accelerated math, here is the process for that. So if you want to do this, there is a 16-page comprehensive assessment that covers all of the Common Core standards for that grade level. So for example, if you are a 4th grader and you want to get into 5th grade math, you need to show me that you've mastered all of 4th grade. And so this assessment covers every single standard in the grade level. And same for 5th grade. If you're a 5th grader who wants to do 6th grade math, you will have to take the 5th grade test, show me that you've mastered the majority of the content in order for you to move on to the next grade level. This process does not have a time limit. So if you want to start this in December, if you want to start this now, if you want to start this in March, I'm willing to support you in whatever way that might look like. So this is not just tied to this moment right now. I know that a lot of students don't have the most confidence in math, and my hope is to build up that confidence. And then after a few months, they're like, you know what, I think I might be ready for the next challenge. Then we can have that conversation. And I like to bridge that conversation with parents. If I'm seeing something in the classroom like, hey, your child is like really with it in class, and I think they might benefit from something more, I will reach out to you. If you're noticing, if you want that for your child, that's great. I think the biggest thing that I want to stress is if there's no buy-in from the student, it doesn't matter how much you want them to do this, it's not going to work. If your child really wants to do this, I will do everything in my power to make sure that they're doing this. But they need to want it. And if you want it for them, it's not going to happen. So this has to be a decision and a conversation that you can have with them, I can have with them. But that's a really big, important piece that there needs to be buy-in from the student for them to want to do this. The assessment will be completed at home because we won't have time to do that here in the classroom. And so obviously, please don't help them. This should be only them. So if you help them with the assessment, I won't really know if they've mastered it. And then if I push them to the next grade level, they're just going to be really confused and overwhelmed, and that's not a very good thing for their math confidence. So please make sure that they do this on their own. If you want to read questions to them, you totally can. I think that's fine, but don't help them reason with questions. If they get stuck on a question, just have them circle the question and then move on. And I've been kind of training them on that assessment here in class as well. If they get to a question they're stuck on, they can just circle the question and move on. And the one thing I'm going to say about this assessment, because I think in the past I've given the test to a student, and then it's taken them over a month to get it to me. And so because I want this to be a serious conversation with you and your family, I'm going to say that if I give you the assessment, the 16-page assessment, you will have 5 working days to get it to me. So let's say you get it on Monday, I need it back by Friday. If you give it to me on Friday, you have to give it back to me by next Thursday, right? The weekend does not count. But I do want to give a time limit just to make sure that they're focused on it, because sometimes kids will slowly work on it and it's like, all right, I actually need to know what you know in this moment of time. And I felt like 5 days, I mean, it's a pretty hefty test, but 5 days should be plenty of time for you to work on that. Obviously, if you need an extra day or two, feel free to email me, but I did feel like I needed some sort of time parameter around that. All right, math instruction in the classroom. This is what it will look like moving forward. So the math block this year is 70 minutes long. And I break it up into 3 smaller 20-minute rotations. And so one of those rotations is teacher station, which is me, and that's where I will be giving the formal kind of math lesson for the day. That's usually a math discussion, or we do some sort of math exploration on a question. It's very discussion based, but we do a lot in those 20 minutes. The next rotation would be worksheet station, where they practice something that we've learned in the previous day or previous days or previous unit. And so they work with a partner to kind of practice these skills in the classroom. And then the third rotation is game station, where students will be playing a game that's connected to that kind of larger unit, or kind of like multiplication or things that are really important just to know mathematically. And then they will see each one of these station every single day. Again, this might begin next week. We're going to be starting the kind of practicing of routines tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, just to make sure that they're smooth. But there is a lot of independence, and this is where I can differentiate. This is why we have the 4-5 splits. I'll have a 4th grade group, I'll have a 5th grade group, and if it's needed, I'll also have a 6th grade math group, all within the same classroom. And that's how it happens. I just kind of rotate with that. And I think that's all the talking that I have. Are there any questions about that? So I'm gonna stop the share, and I'm gonna go to my full screen here. And if you have a question, you can either raise your hand or virtually or actually, or just unmute yourself and just start talking. Are there any questions? That was very clear. Jerry, Gio's dad.
Yeah. Hey, when will the take home, the 16-page assessment, when will that be given to the student? This week?
So if the student wants it, you can have them either ask me for it, and then I will print it out and then give it to them, and they'll take it home. Or you can send me an email saying, hey, I had a conversation with my child. Can you please get the assessment? And then I will send it home in their backpack. So it starts now. Wyatt?
Hi, yes, thank you. My question was, you had mentioned that the kids have to be interested in doing this, but do you have any tips because I feel like for my kid, it's a confidence thing. So any tips for how to inspire confidence at home to kind of maybe help nudge them in the direction of even considering this as a possibility?
Yeah, that's a it's a good question. I feel like that's a tricky thing, right? Especially as being a parent. I feel like I think as when you're a parent, when you say things to your kids, they're like, but then when your teacher says it, sometimes they'll listen better to the teacher, right? I feel like this has happened in the past, right? I've had a lot of parents who wanted this for their kids, and I think it's really powerful when somebody who doesn't know them very well, like personally, says to them, hey, I think I see a lot of potential in you. I think there's a big turnaround in parent conferences in October when I've had parent meetings and I've said to them, hey, I think your child could benefit from like some more advanced math. Sometimes I see jaws drop on the floor, like what? Like they've said they've hated math for the longest time. I think my math instruction is different in the sense that like it's very discussion oriented, and I try to level the playing field, so there's a lot of points of access, and so I think confidence happens naturally in the room. I mean, I think it's playing a lot of games. I could shoot a website to you that you can check out. It's called Math for Love. They do a great job of bringing love in math. And so I would recommend playing a lot of math games, having conversations, going to the grocery store, asking like, hey, what are you noticing at home? Or what are you noticing about how much things cost? Or you might be estimating. But I think it could be a slow process. And some kids, really love math and some don't. And my hope is to do away with the I'm bad at math thing. Like I had a student today, literally the first thing they said to me, I think this was the 3rd class I saw today. The first thing they said to me ever was, hey, by the way, Mr. Maldonado, I'm not very good at math. Like that was like they needed to tell me that. And so now my goal is like I'm gonna convince her otherwise. So I know that's a very convoluted answer to your question, but I think that's the best I can do. So
No, but
hopefully,
it helps. It helps. Thank you.
Molly.
Hi there. I have Mila, and she is very excited thinking about doing this, but also is really struggling with confidence, as a lot of our kids are. And we were just wondering if there's an easy place to see what all would be included in the expectation for fifth grade math, like what the fifth grade standards are. She's like, I don't even know if I know what would be included in the assessment. So would there be an easy place we could just peek at that?
Sure, yeah, that's a great question. I think Benjamin Bird's question, I'm sure that's not actually Benjamin Bird, but they asked, if student attempts an assessment now and then doesn't pass, can they retake it? Take the test, and then that way you can literally see all the things that are in it, and try them out, and then you can retake it again if you want. So that would be a great way to do it. If you go to the Common Core website, the standards for fifth grade math are in there. They're also in the Seattle Public Schools website. So there's lots of resources. I'm sure you can just Google it. But I can also just send you the assessment, and then we can look at it that way.
Okay, that's cool. I'll look at the Common Core stuff. Thank you.
Sweet. I think. Did you have another question, Jerry? Because your hand is still up.
No, sorry. Let me take that off.
That's okay. No worries. If you have a question, you go ahead and unmute yourself, because I think everybody else who has a question has asked it. Ahead of schedule. And again, if you are coming in late, I have recorded this, and I will send a YouTube link probably tomorrow morning or after school tomorrow, so that you all can watch this. So if you missed it, you'll have a chance to watch it tomorrow. Jerry, looks like he's.
Yeah. I do have a question. So just because we just transferred in like a year ago, just so to my understanding for this, I don't know what status my son is in terms of like AL or HC, whatever acronyms you gave earlier, but I guess he took the baseline assessment test this week. So this accelerated math, so all the kids are bunched up together every day the usual way, and then is there like an these 20-minute sessions, are you grouping the students who want to do accelerated math in a specific group, or are all the kids in the classroom getting mixed in together? How are you deciphering the kids who want to do this and the kids who do not want to do this?
Yeah, great question. So that would be determined on how they do in the assessment, right? So let's say a fourth grade student is interested in doing fifth grade math, and they take the assessment. While they're taking the assessment, they'll remain in fourth grade math until I grade the assessment, and I'm able to have a meeting with all of you to kind of talk about the results. So if they take the assessment, I'll finish grading. I'll send you all an email and say, hey, can we meet real quick after school on the Teams chat, and I could go over the results. Then we'll talk about what the next steps are. Let's say they didn't pass and they want to keep working at it. They'll remain in fourth grade math until they're able to show me that they've mastered the fifth grade content. And I have a plan on how that might happen. So we'll have that conversation kind of during that parent meeting. Let's say they do pass it and they want to get into fifth grade math. What I'll do is I will then that student will then move into the fifth grade kind of small group, and then they'll join the fifth graders in that teacher station with me. Same thing with the fifth graders who want to do sixth grade math. I'll have a sixth grade math group who will do the content with me. So hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you have any more questions, you can also email me, and I'll try to maybe transcribe it on an email too.
Thank you very much.
Of course. All right, any other questions? Some teacher wait time. Melanie, yeah, go ahead.
I had a question. If Kason does the test and doesn't do well the first time, in a few months, can he do it again?
Yeah, of course. Totally. Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right. Sweet. So I will, I'm sure I'll be getting a lot of emails from some of you in the next few days. And feel free to reach out with anything else. Rosie, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they are interested in taking the test, are there things you'd recommend that they do, as they're working towards passing it, like workbooks or any other resources that they might check out, like math games that are fun that they should, try to play or something like that?
Yeah. So they take the assessment, and we have a conversation. We can definitely talk about that then. A big resource that I think is always fun is Khan Academy. Khan Academy is free, and they're all video lessons. So doing some of that. When we have that, let's say you take the assessment, I can set those accounts for you all, and then they can start working on that on their own. And then another good one that has that's a little bit more complicated to kind of set up, so I would have to do that for them. And again, this would be kind of a family meeting, would be Prodigy. It's kind of like Pokemon meets math. But it's not as like instructional as Khan Academy is. It's definitely a lot more fun and engaging, and the kids love it. But you have to be. It's kind of a that was a tricky one because it could very easily become just a game versus the math practice, and so you kind of have to be careful with Prodigy. But there's definitely some good math content in there that can practice kind of like math skills, and there is some teaching in there, but it's not as robust as Khan Academy. All right. Sweet. Okay. I'll stay on for a little longer. I'll stay till maybe 6:30 if anybody else wants to stay behind and ask some questions, but I will let everybody else go. Have a great dinner if you haven't had it yet, and I will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
So y'all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Ken, this is Eric Kierkegaard, Danny's dad. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. I missed the first couple minutes because we were just not organized as we should have been. What was the kind of intro part of that with regards to just all the acronyms you threw out and so forth? I know you said you were going to record it, but since you're offering to stick around for a couple minutes there.
Yeah, of course. So let me stop the recording here.